Hey everyone, this is Disney Channel and you are watching Semi-Matt. Wait, no, fuck. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at the analog horror channel Urban Spook and its series, The Painter. This is a video I've been wanting to do for quite a while, and I have actually been writing the script for this video for almost a month and a half, and I think, it's a new type of direction I want this channel to go in. So let's just get right into it.
Holy fuck, I'm coming! No, holy fuck, I'm coming!
Now, before we begin, I just have to say, I like analog horror. Even though it's somewhat becoming a little bit oversaturated, there's still some golden channels out there that present really good stories. My personal favorites have to be Local 58, Mandela Catalog, Gemini Home Entertainment, Greylock, and many more. However, I have stumbled upon the bad ones.
There's been a disturbance in the roof of the building. The GCPD Gotham City Police Department and Arkham Security has been called to assess the situation. Follow all procedures for the following patients. Patient number 8.
Brother, this guy stinks!
However, there is one that has been embroiled in so much controversy that it's too hard to ignore. Urban Spook's The Painter. Now, before we dive in, let me give a quick disclaimer. Everything I'm about to state in this video is my personal opinion and personal analysis. If you like this series, that's fine. I'm not going to sit here and try and convince you to change your mind about it. That's not who I am. I am simply stating my opinion and my opinion alone. If you like the series, that's fine. I don't care. But I have every right to criticize the creator and overall story of your favorite series, whether you like it or not. So that's just what I'm going to say. I'm not here to try and change your opinion. I'm just here to state my own personal opinion about how I feel about the series and the creator in general. So as of now, there are only 9 episodes in the series, with the 9th episode being the second to last episode. I'm only going to be focusing on a few of the episodes which I believe stand out or provide some importance to my criticisms of the show. And those episodes are Faces, which is the first episode, The Lighthouse, In the Walls. We're going to be talking about that one a lot. Witness, Pigs, Meat, and the second to last episode, Hell. So without further ado, let's get into the analysis. The episode starts with a statement from a local police department that states that 3 paintings were stored away in an abandoned storage unit, all titled after recent murders. The first victim, Carla Gray, was found with 36 stab wounds to her face and all of her teeth were removed. On the back of the first painting, the title Carla's Teeth was written. The painting is then shown. I won't go into detail with the next victims, as you can already understand the killer's intentions here when it comes to the paintings, but I will show the paintings. The video then goes on to state that 2 months after these paintings were found, several others were discovered, but the titles didn't seem to be connected to any known victims at the time. Here are the paintings. We're going to be talking about this one a lot later. After police went public with the case, they would then receive 3 photos in the mail with titles, depicting the victims of James Miller, Jackie Graham, and a victim titled Jimmy. The video then states that if anyone knows anything about the photos or paintings, they should contact the number below. The video then ends by stating that another painting was found, titled Self-Portrait. This is the painting. So obviously, if you went into the series without knowing any of the controversy surrounding it, it's honestly a very unique story. Analog horror has constantly had antagonists that were of the supernatural, viral, or extraterrestrial. And to see a series that's centered around a sort of true crime tale, where its main enemy, or enemies I should say, are just insane killers, makes it stand out from the rest. And the paintings are made by the series creator himself. However, as we continue, you'll see why this uniqueness will start to fade. Now, this is the episode where I would say the uniqueness of the story begins to dwindle. The episode begins like the last one. Black background, white text, which is the biggest analog horror trope and probably is what is making analog horror more bland, because in the beginning of every single analog horror that you'll watch, it's always this sort of format. And what you're going to see is that every episode is like this. But anyways, back to the second episode. We open up with a statement that 4 weeks ago, a police officer named Bill Collins went missing along with his wife and 2 daughters, after Bill had discovered the self-portrait painting from the last episode in his home. While the police searched his home, they found one of his daughters hanging from the ceiling in the attic. She was only 2 months old. Alright, let's stop right here for a moment. So obviously you can see how the series from this point forward is going to get worse when it comes to its edgy content. And I say edgy, not hard, because there's nothing really scary about this. It's just edgy nonsense. The video continues by showing that the Collins family car was found 12 days later by the beach, and a painting depicting the infant's death was found in the car, titled Long Neck Angel. The police would then search an old lighthouse nearby the abandoned car, where on the door they found an abstract painting. Inside the lighthouse, police found the charred corpse of a missing teenager named Daniel Williams. The police then proceeded into the tunnels of the White House, where they would find the bodies of Jennifer White and Lisa White, who had been missing for 7 months. The police would then find a barrel emitting a foul odor which contained the mangled flesh and bones of the Collins family, along with photos of the Collins, and a photo depicting an unknown face who we now know to be the killer. So before I get into this episode and the long-ass discussion I'm going to make on it, I just want to say that if you are sensitive to the topics I'm about to discuss, please skip to this time code. The episode begins by announcing the disappearance of 2 twins, Corey and Margaret Beck. 5 days after their disappearance, their bodies were found inside an abandoned paper mill factory. The conditions of the bodies are described as gruesome, as only the upper body of Margaret and lower body of Corey could be located. Their bodies had been sewn together in a sloppy manner, and the rest of their bodies have not been found. Margaret's neck and jaw was broken in several places, and a clay brick had been violently shoved down her throat with the word meat written on it. Corey had then been discovered to be forcibly castrated by a pulling force. So the rest of the video goes on to state that Corey had actually encountered the killer in a previous incident where he and his friends actually went to an abandoned house and Corey got a picture of the killer. However, that's not what I want to talk about in this part of the episode. If you remember in episode 1, a painting titled F-Toy Corey was found at the scene, and now we finally know the fate of Corey. And when I first watched this episode, I thought this was the dumbest thing I have seen in my entire life, and the most disrespectful thing. The fact that UrbanSPOOK thought it would be a good idea to depict such a heinous act in this episode as a way to be scary is just disgusting. If anything, it's just edgy bullshit. It just shows a complete lack of morals and sensitivity. The channel Oh Heck It's Tristan did a very detailed and well-made critique of the episode, so if you want to watch his video, I'll put the link in the description.
Now, I am a firm believer that you can involve kids in horror and have it be completely fine. I also believe that you can tackle heavy subject matter such as what happened to Corey so long as you meet 2 conditions. 1, it is respectful and shows care for how truly devastating of an impact something like that can have, as it is, unfortunately, a fairly common source of trauma. And 2, it has to service the story. The rest of the story physically could not have happened without the assault happening, or it serves to demonstrate a point.
It's such an unnecessary thing to add in the episode, considering how disrespectful it's displayed, and it has no point of being here, as it doesn't serve anything to the story. And like the other victims of the series, as you're about to see, this has no effect on the series and doesn't drive it further. And I know people bring up the whole t-shirt controversy, and I know UrbanSPOOK tried to cover his ass by stating he didn't make the series to sell his art and merchandise, but either way, putting a design that has a context such as SA behind it on a t-shirt to sell for monetary gain is not a good look, and it just shows a lot of unprofessionalism on UrbanSPOOK's part. Okay, I'm not going to discuss this one too much. The main plot of this one is that a victim named Tina Rosenberg was found by police after her boyfriend, and sister went missing. It's then discovered that Tina survived an attack from the killers, but was left without her arms or feet. Her boyfriend is still missing, and her sister was brutally murdered by the killers. And the reason why this description is short is for two reasons. One of which we'll get to later, and the other one is that I needed one that was tame, and that's kind of a strong word to use because there's nothing tame about this series. Alright, so this is where the series just goes off the rails, as if it already hasn't at this point. So again, I'm just gonna say this video is very gross and has very disturbing topics in it. So if you want to skip ahead to this time code or stop watching, you have every right to do so. So the episode starts with police entering the farm of Ian Ford, who was reported missing. And inside, of course, the scene was very disgusting, as you could already guess. Inside, the police found his wife, May Ford, whose hands were handcuffed to a pole on one of the horse stalls, and her hands were ripped right off. Her body showed that she died from internal bleeding. A dead horse was then found within the same stall where May was found, and it was determined that it died from a sildenafil overdose, and a painting called Breeding Mount May was discovered. So, from the information I just relayed to you, what do you think happened here? What is the point of having this in the series other than to prove the point that Urban Spook is just putting in edgy nonsense to try and be scary? What does this have to do with anything in the story? Oh wait, this is not a story. This is a pieced together load of nonsense. What is the story here other than victim found, his arms were cut off, his legs were cut off, and found in the shape of a pretzel? Insert very insensitive stuff to try and be scary. What is the motive here with these killers? We haven't gotten one, and we have no clues as to what the motive is. All it just seems like is just like they're just going around killing people and just being disgusting. It's literally just an entire romanticization of serial killers. All it does is make fun of these victims and doesn't even show any sort of sympathy for the victims. It's literally so stupid. Anyways, more gross stuff is found. They find like faces and a head found in a pig, and we get a glimpse at our second killer, who is literally a Leatherface ripoff. Okay, so just like episode 5, I'm going to keep this one nice and short. So police go to Dr. Fred Baker's house after he didn't show up to work. They heard a dog barking, but he never had a dog, just a cat. There was signs of a struggle, and of course, more sildenafil was found. Oh, and by the way, if you don't know what that is, it's Viagra. And I think you all know what that does. The police found Fred in his bed with no skin on his face, and used sandpaper was found all over the floor. Fred's cat wasn't found, but a painting depicting the cat was found with the title, Pocket. Oh, I wonder what the killers did with the cat. A few days later, the body of George White was found in his home. He was also found with no skin on his face and was stabbed 487 times across his body. And of course, 4 of those wounds contained seminal fluid, because why wouldn't they contain that? Alright, so I'm not going to talk about this episode anymore, but I do want to show something that actually kind of impressed me with this episode. It is the stop motion portion of the video, which shows the killers. I'm just going to show that scene, and then we're going to move on to the 9th episode. Okay, second to last episode. The story begins after an anonymous tip was given to police about trespassers at an abandoned textile plant. We then get an inside look at the plant, and what I find interesting here is that UrbanSPOOK is using CGI footage to create a real-world atmosphere instead of using images like he has in the past. From what I can assume, it's the same software that Kane Pixels used in his Backroom series, but I could be wrong. Either way, I still find it very impressive. Inside, the police find extremely disgusting stuff, because why wouldn't there be extremely disgusting stuff at this point? They find human remains sewn together into clothing, a cage room where they find unidentifiable bodies, including a rotting corpse on a mattress, with photos showing one of the killers in a leather gimp suit and the other killer licking the body, because why not? The police then find the missing bodies of Corey and Margaret sewn together in a cage. The police then discover a paint room where we find finished and unfinished paintings for future victims. On the ceiling, police find the bodies of the missing Jones family, joined together by a chain. In the basement, some bodies were found to be partially eaten, because again, why wouldn't they be? So after finding more disgusting shit, the police enter the sewers, where they find writing on the wall that states, "Once you've been to hell, you never come back." Police discover that this was a direct quote from an interview Tina Rosenberg gave, the survivor from Witness, after her attack. After this, an officer is sent to conduct a wellness check on Tina and her mother. Tina's mother is seen dismembered on the floor, and Tina is laid out in her bedroom with the killer standing over her, screaming. The officer tells the killers to surrender, but the leather-faced one charges the officer and is shot dead.
Let me see your hands right now!
The other killer is captured.
Let me see your hands! Do not move! You understand?
Tina's eyes and ears were punctured with a pair of knitting needles. She didn't stop screaming for after 20 minutes. The killer who was shot is identified as Bill Collins. And the other killer is identified as Mona Lanus. Who admits to over 100 murders and is to go on trial. The video then ends as we hear the screams of Tina in the background. Alright, so I'm basically going to go on like I wouldn't say a rant, more or less like sort of like off-script dialogue here. So episode 9, do I think that episode changed my opinion about the series as a whole? No. It doesn't really change my opinion on it. I don't really think an episode that actually had some really cool things added to it and it actually was seen as like an improvement compared to the other episodes. I don't really think it changes my opinion on the series as a whole. Even though I enjoyed moments from it, I don't really see it as like a episode that basically like, you know, like all the other few episodes were bad, but this one is what made the series. It was like, no, it's no, like it doesn't really change my opinion on it because, you know, everything that happened before in the series is still fresh in my mind. And really doing something like this in the 9th episode is kind of like, you know, you have like a bowl of sawdust and you put whipped cream and a cherry on top. Like, just because you did that, that doesn't make it ice cream. It's still a bowl of sawdust, you know? That's my own personal analogy, It's like, like just because you try to make it look presentable and, try and make it look nice near the end, it's still bad. It's still bad, That's basically like, some like TV show with a horrible script in the first 5 episodes, improving after, the next few up until like the season finale. It's just like, okay, well, this really doesn't change my opinion on it just because you tried improving the show with the later episodes. It still doesn't really change my opinion with the previous episodes. It's still not good, and that's just my personal opinion on it, Now, when it comes to UrbanSPOOK, in general, just UrbanSPOOK, not the series, UrbanSPOOK himself. Now, the one thing I want to talk about is this. So, if I remember correctly, in one of his like Instagram comments, like someone asked him like, "Oh, do you plan on doing like a remake of the Painter series?" And he said no. He said he doesn't plan on doing it. Oh, off topic. Do you see that little thing? That's Grogu holding some Welch's fruit snacks, saying, "I want fruit gummy." I don't know. I don't know why I'm pointing. He said he has no intentions on remaking the series, but if I were him, would I at least try and do like a redux or like an extended cut where it's like one long sort of like short movie where it's like a improved story of the Painter? I would do that, but if he doesn't want to do it, that's fine. But whatever UrbanSPOOK does in the future, I wish him the best personally, because even though I've said like some very harsh things in this entire video about the episodes, I think UrbanSPOOK has talent to make a more improved series in the future. Whether that be like, another sort of like true crime thriller, analog horror, or like, like a sort of like a monster based analog horror, whatever it is. I think he has the talent to do it. And he's a very talented artist. And, I wish him luck. I personally do. And I know some people in the comments who like followed the whole like UrbanSPOOK like Twitter controversy. Like, I'm not going to talk about that because, everyone knows what happened. And personally, in my opinion, like, I do think people can change, when it comes to like, stuff, they say on social media in the past, even though this was done like a few months ago, like, or a few months or a year ago, I don't know. But do I think after that whole controversy, do I think UrbanSPOOK has changed attitude wise? Sure. Yeah. Like I said in the episode 3 analysis, he did write in like Wendigoon's video about comparing his series to Greylock. He said he left a very respectful comment to Wendigoon's criticisms. And like, does that show like a sense of change in his attitude? Sure, of course, because stuff, when people are really angry, you tend to say stuff that you don't mean. But then again, sometimes you do, like, because again, like if you say stuff really rude shit to someone online, and then like you're constantly saying more rude shit after, then yeah, maybe you didn't change. But I think, the whole Twitter thing was kind of like a learning experience for him, because, and I do think, he's changed, attitude wise when it comes to people criticizing his series, but, that's just whatever at this point. Cause every single, review channel has like talked about it to death, and I don't really want to talk about it because it's just like it happened like a year ago, and it's whatever. And like, and I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, I agree with UrbanSPOOK said to that. Like, I'm not saying that. Like, UrbanSPOOK had no right saying what he said to the people who were criticizing his series. But all I'm saying is, like, do I think that entire controversy changed his attitude? Maybe. I don't know. Like, maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But all I can say in the end is like, whatever he does in the future, I wish him luck. I'm not trying to make this video to try and be like, he should stop making content. Like, no, he should just quit. That's not why I'm making this video. This video is just giving my personal opinion of the series. And like I said, my personal opinion is it's bad. Like it's not good. I don't like it. If I liked it, I would have said more positive things, other than like the 9th episode being like, oh, look, that he like did with the CGI stuff. Like I would have said more positive things, but I can't, because only good things I've said is like, like it's a unique story, and the whole CGI thing in episode 9 was really cool and shows like he's trying to put more effort into it. But it doesn't really change my overall opinion. It's like 2 good things I've said doesn't outweigh a lot of bad things I've said, This was a series that had a lot of potential, because it was a very unique story. Because like I said, like every single analog horror that you'll watch is always like an alien monster or ghost or infectious disease basically killing people. But this one's different. It's like a true crime. Okay, so like for some reason the video stopped recording. I have no idea why. But like I was saying, this was at first a very unique series because it separated itself from the rest of every single analog horror. But it shot itself in the foot with the bad storytelling, the insensitivity towards certain topics such as SA, and overall just being not scary, but just edgy. I know I constantly use that word a lot in this video, edgy, but there's really no other word to describe the series. It's really nothing scary. It's just like, I just feel, grossed out the whole time. Like I'm not scared by it. It's just disgusting nonsense. But that's all I have to say, all in all. Like I said, whatever Urban Spook does in the future, I wish him luck. And this is going to be a 2-parter, so whenever the final episode comes out, I will be doing an episode on the final episode. So, another part on the final episode, I should say. But that's really it, I hope you guys enjoy this video, and see you in the next one.